The small red light on Dr. Harold Mitchell's monitor blinked 3 times. He rubbed his tired eyes, thinking it might be a glitch. Working the night shift at the Lunar Observatory often played tricks on his mind. But when the light blinked again, Harold sat up straight. "Computer, analyze signal source," he said, his voice breaking the silence of the empty monitoring room. The screen filled with data. The signal came from beyond the Kuiper Belt, far past where any human ship had traveled. Harold's heart beat faster. He had dreamed of this moment his entire career. "Better call this in," he whispered to himself. His finger hovered over the emergency contact button. Once he pushed it, everything would change. He pressed down. 3 days later, the Lunar Observatory buzzed with activity. Scientists from Earth crowded every room. Government officials in dark suits whispered in corners. Harold hadn't slept more than 4 hours total, but he didn't care. The signals grew stronger each hour. "Dr. Mitchell, they want you in the main conference room," said his assistant, Judy Bell. Her eyes were wide with excitement. In the conference room, Harold found himself facing the newly formed United Earth Defense Council. At the head of the table sat Admiral Diane Russell, a tall woman with gray-streaked hair and the sharpest eyes Harold had ever seen. "Doctor, explain what we're dealing with," she said without introduction. Harold cleared his throat. "The signals show advanced propulsion systems. Based on their speed and trajectory, they'll reach our solar system in approximately 2 weeks. A man in a military uniform frowned. "Hostile or friendly?" "Unknown, sir, but they're coming directly toward us." "That seems deliberate." Admiral Russell nodded. "We've mobilized every space-capable vessel. Not much compared to whatever can travel between stars, but it's all we have." The next 12 days passed in a blur of preparation. Earth governments, for once united by a common situation, broadcast messages of peace toward the approaching ships. On day 13, Lisa Hernandez, the communication specialist working with Harold, burst into his office. "I decoded part of their transmission," she said, her voice trembling. "You need to hear this." The alien voice, translated by computer, filled the room. It spoke slowly, the words oddly spaced. "Primitive bipeds, your world now belongs to the Exarathi Dominion. Prepare to serve." Harold felt cold. "Play the next part." The alien continued. "Resistance provides entertainment. Your species, barely sentient mammals, will amuse our citizens." They sent the transmission to Admiral Russell immediately. Within hours, she arranged a direct communication attempt with the approaching fleet. The response came on screens worldwide. A creature with gray-blue skin and 4 eyes looked out at humanity. Its mouth moved in what might have been a smile. "Admiral of the mammals," it said in broken English, "your courage is amusing. We have conquered 17 worlds. Would you like to see?" Without waiting for an answer, the screen filled with images of burning cities on alien worlds, creatures of different forms running in terror, and always the Exarathi watching, some holding devices that seemed to record the destruction. "This is how it always progresses," the alien commander said. "First denial, then bargaining, then entertainment." Admiral Russell stood tall before the camera. "We propose peaceful contact. Exchange of knowledge." The alien interrupted with a sound like grinding metal. Harold realized it was laughing. "Knowledge exchange with mammals who only reached their moon. Your species is optimistic. This quality will make your subjugation more enjoyable to witness." The transmission ended. In the silence that followed, Admiral Russell turned to the assembled leaders of Earth. "Prepare for war," she said simply, "and pray we have time." From orbit, the first Exarathi ships became visible the next day as pinpoints of light. By sunset, they filled the sky like new malevolent stars. And then, without warning, they struck. The sky turned red as the Exarathi weapons hit Earth's atmosphere. Orbital defense stations exploded like fireworks, their crews having no time to send final messages. Satellites blinked out one by one, and communication networks failed across the planet. Joe Garcia, director of the Mars colony, managed one last broadcast before his transmission cut off. "They're approaching the colony. We have no weapons. If anyone receives this..." The screen went dark. Admiral Diane Russell watched from the bridge of her flagship as Earth's defenses fell. Her hands gripped the command console until her knuckles turned white. "We can't win this fight," said her tactical officer, Paul Everett. His young face was pale with fear, but his voice stayed steady. "Not with what we have." Russell's mind worked quickly. "We need to save what we can. Set course for Jupiter. We'll hide in the storm bands." "Admiral, that's running away," protested Olivia Diaz, the ship's engineer. "No," Russell replied, her eyes hard. "That's surviving to fight another day." As 3 Earth ships disappeared into Jupiter's swirling clouds, the Exarathi began their ground assault. They didn't bother to destroy cities completely. Instead, they took out power plants, water systems, and hospitals. They wanted humans alive but suffering. New York fell first. The Exarathi ships hovered over Central Park, their weapons turning the famous green space into black glass. People ran screaming through the streets as alien soldiers landed and began rounding up humans. In Chicago, Kimberly Walsh watched from her apartment window as the aliens set up a processing center in Grant Park. A former Marine, she knew what an occupation looked like. And she knew resistance was the only option. "They're sorting people," she told her neighbor Sam Porter as they hid in her basement, "taking the strongest for labor, the others for who knows what." Sam, a bus driver before the invasion, shook his head. "What can we do against those weapons?" Kim pulled out a locked case from under a shelf. Inside was her service pistol and a radio. "We find others. We organize. We fight back." Across the world, similar scenes played out. In Beijing and Moscow, in London and Rio, the aliens systematically dismantled human society. They'd broadcast their victories across their empire, cameras focused on human faces twisted in fear. Dr. Ken Nakamura in Tokyo managed to escape when his research facility was attacked. He grabbed what he could: research notes, sample containers, and a small piece of alien technology that had been shot down. As he fled through the subway tunnels beneath the city, he studied the strange metal fragment. "The molecular structure is unlike anything I've seen," he muttered to himself. "But if I can understand it." 3 days into the invasion, the Exarathi commander addressed Earth on all remaining communication channels. Its 4 eyes blinked slowly as it spoke. "Your resistance is inadequate, less entertaining than previous conquests. Perhaps humans require motivation." The broadcast showed alien ships destroying farmlands, poisoning reservoirs, and setting fire to forests. The message was clear: cooperate or watch your planet die slowly. But as night fell across the occupied Earth, small lights of hope flickered. In Chicago, Kim Walsh gathered 20 survivors in her basement, distributing weapons and assigning targets. In Tokyo, Dr. Nakamura discovered that the alien metal reacted strangely to certain radiation frequencies. And in Jupiter's protective storms, Admiral Russell assessed her remaining forces: 3 ships, about 200 personnel, Paul Everett reported. "Not much of a fleet." "No," Russell agreed, looking at the pictures of Earth under occupation displayed on her screen. "But we won't stay small. The Exarathi think this is over. They think we'll just accept defeat." Engineer Diaz looked up from her console. "What are we going to do, Admiral?" Russell's eyes narrowed. "We're going to prove them wrong. And when we're done, they'll never laugh at humans again." Hidden in Jupiter's clouds, the seeds of humanity's revenge began to grow. 6 months passed under Exarathi rule. Humans were sorted into 3 categories: laborers who worked in mines and farms, entertainers who performed for alien audiences, and specimens taken to Exarathi ships for study. The aliens broadcast their conquest across their empire, showing off Earth like a new toy. Deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, in a research facility the Exarathi had not discovered, scientist Alan Crawford worked without rest. His lab, once used for energy research, now focused on a single goal: finding the aliens' weakness. "Play the footage again," Alan told his assistant, Beth Porter. Dark circles hung under his eyes after 3 days without sleep. Beth pressed a button, and the screen showed a captured Exarathi soldier reacting violently to a damaged power cell. The alien thrashed and collapsed when exposed to the leaking energy. "There," Alan pointed. "Freeze it there." The image stopped on the alien's face. Its 4 eyes were wide with pain. "Their neural systems," Alan said slowly. "They're hypersensitive to this specific radiation. If we could weaponize this—" Beth nodded. "We have a way to fight back. But how do we get this information to anyone who can use it?" The door to the lab opened. Security Chief Greg Wells entered with a young man Alan had never seen before. "This is Nathan Rodriguez," Greg said. "Former bike messenger from Denver. Got through 3 Exarathi checkpoints to reach us." Nathan was thin and wiry, with quick eyes that took in everything. "I've been running supplies between resistance cells. I heard you folks might have something important." Alan looked at Beth, then back at Nathan. "How would you feel about carrying the most important data on Earth through alien territory?" Nathan's smile was grim. "Just tell me where it needs to go." 2 days later, Nathan left the mountain facility with a small data chip sewn into his jacket lining. His destination: the rumored human base somewhere in the asteroid belt, where Admiral Russell was said to be gathering forces. The journey would be impossible for most, but Nathan had learned to move unseen. In the ruins of Salt Lake City, he connected with resistance members Sophia Wright and her husband Daniel, who had access to a smuggler's ship. "We can get you to the moon," Sophia told him. "From there, you'll need to find transport to the belt." Daniel checked his homemade scanner. "Patrol coming. 3 minutes." They hid in the basement of a collapsed building as Exarathi soldiers marched past, dragging new human captives toward a processing center. "Why do they enjoy this so much?" Nathan whispered. Sophia's face hardened. "They see us as animals. Our suffering is entertainment for them." Meanwhile, in Tokyo, Dr. Nakamura achieved a breakthrough. After months studying the alien metal fragment, he had reverse-engineered aspects of Exarathi shield technology. In his hidden lab, converted from an old subway maintenance room, he built a prototype device. "It works," he told his small team of fellow scientists. "Their shields operate on frequency modulation. If we can disrupt that, how do we share this?" asked his colleague, Dr. Yuki Sato. "The aliens monitor all digital communications." Dr. Nakamura smiled. "We go old school." He held up a handwritten notebook. "Paper notes. Radio transmissions using frequencies so old the Exarathi consider them obsolete. Sometimes the most primitive methods are the most effective." Within days, resistance cells worldwide began receiving Nakamura's shield disruption designs via coded radio messages. Factories hidden in basements and caves started producing the devices. As Nathan Rodriguez continued his dangerous journey toward the asteroid belt, Admiral Russell received her first piece of good news in months. "We've made contact with 3 more Earth military vessels," Paul Everett reported. "They'd been hiding in Saturn's rings. That brings our total to 6 ships." Russell nodded. "Not enough yet, but growing." Engineer Olivia Diaz entered the command room, excitement visible on her face. "Admiral, we've picked up resistance radio transmissions from Earth. Someone named Nakamura has figured out how to disrupt Exarathi shields." For the first time since the invasion, Russell smiled. "Pieces are coming together. Now we just need to know how to hurt them, not just block them." "If only we could find their weakness," Everett said. Russell looked at the display showing Earth under alien occupation. "Someone will. Humans are good at finding weaknesses, and when we do, She didn't finish the sentence. She didn't need to. Admiral Russell walked through the hangar bay of her hidden asteroid base. 3 ships formed the core of humanity's remaining space fleet. Their original names had been painted over. Now they bore new titles: Defiance, Vengeance, and Retribution. "Not much of a fleet," said a newly arrived pilot, stepping up beside her. "They'll do," Russell replied. "We just need to make them count." Each week brought more survivors: pilots, engineers, soldiers who had escaped Earth in whatever ships could fly. Russell put them all to work. The fleet grew slowly. 6 ships, then 8. Back on Earth, the resistance moved from simply surviving to actively fighting back. In Chicago, Kimberly Walsh led her first major operation. "The target is the arena," she told her team of 20 fighters. "The aliens use it to make humans fight each other for their entertainment. We hit it tonight." Sam Porter, now her second in command, checked their homemade bombs. "Guards are heaviest during shows. Maybe we should wait." Kim shook her head. "That's when they have the most humans inside. We're not just destroying a building. We're freeing our people." That night, explosions rocked Chicago's lakefront. As the Exerethi Entertainment Center burned, hundreds of captive humans ran to freedom. Resistance members guided them to safe houses throughout the city. The aliens responded with fury, destroying 10 city blocks in retaliation. But something had changed. For the first time, humans had successfully struck back. In Mumbai, Raj Patel worked a different kind of resistance. A computer expert before the invasion, he had managed to hack into the aliens' communication systems. "They're so arrogant," he told his team. "They use advanced encryption, but their network architecture is sloppy. They never expected anyone to break in." Raj sent false information about human movements, causing Exerethi patrols to chase shadows. He redirected supply ships, creating shortages at alien bases. Small victories, but they added up. The Exerethi response grew more cruel with each act of resistance. When they caught a saboteur in Atlanta, they burned the city's remaining food supplies. When resistance fighters damaged a processing center in Cairo, the aliens executed 100 random humans in response. Still, they remained confident. Their entertainment broadcasts continued, now featuring special segments on human resistance efforts. They mocked the primitive weapons, the desperate tactics. "See how the mammals scurry," a Exerethi commentator said over footage of a failed resistance attack. "They believe they can change the inevitable. This provides excellent viewing." After months of dangerous travel, Nathan Rodriguez finally reached the asteroid belt. His small stolen ship was nearly out of fuel when the Defiance found him. When Admiral Russell received Crawford's research data, she immediately called a meeting of her officers. "This is it," she said, displaying the information. "The Exerethi neural systems are highly sensitive to these specific radiation frequencies. We can hurt them now." Engineer Olivia Diaz studied the data. "We can build emitters to generate this radiation. But we'll need materials from Earth, specialized components we can't manufacture here." Russell nodded. "Then we send someone back. Someone who can coordinate with the ground resistance." She looked around the room. "I need a volunteer. This mission has a low survival probability." Lieutenant Commander Eric Peterson stood. A quiet man with steady hands, he had piloted refugee ships out of Earth during the initial invasion. "I'll go," he said simply. "I still know people on the ground." Russell gripped his shoulder. "Find our people. Tell them we're coming. And Eric," she paused, "tell them to be ready for when we do." 3 days later, Peterson departed in a small stealth craft, painted black to blend with space. His course: Earth, a planet now wrapped in alien ships and suffering. As he disappeared into the darkness, Admiral Russell turned to her growing fleet. Now they had a weapon. Now they could hurt the invaders who had laughed at human pain. Now they could begin planning revenge. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, in a place where sunlight never reached, humans built their hope. The underwater base Atlantis hummed with activity. Once an abandoned research station, It now served as humanity's main manufacturing facility. Olivia Diaz wiped sweat from her forehead as she examined the latest weapon prototype. After Admiral Russell sent her back to Earth with Lieutenant Commander Peterson, she had worked nonstop. "The emitter is still overheating," she told materials specialist Gregory Howard. "We need to increase the cooling capacity." Greg nodded, his hands already reaching for tools. "The Exarathi don't come down here. They hate the pressure. Gives us time to get it right." Around them, hundreds of humans worked in shifts that never ended. They built radiation emitters based on Dr. Crawford's research, designed to disrupt Exarathi neural systems. Each successful test brought fierce smiles to tired faces. Test number 17, Olivia announced to the small crowd gathered around the testing chamber. Inside, a piece of Exarathi technology recovered from a crashed scout ship sat on a platform. She activated the emitter. The alien device sparked, then went dead as the specialized radiation disrupted its control systems. The crowd cheered. "It's working," Greg said quietly. "Now we just need enough of them." On the dark side of the moon, Lieutenant Commander Peterson established Shadow Base, hidden in a crater where Exarathi patrols rarely ventured. From here, he coordinated Earth's scattered resistance movements. "Chicago reports success with the handheld disruptors," he told his communication team. "Mumbai needs more components. Tokyo has improved the shield breakers." Working with resistance leaders like Walsh, Patel, and dozens of others, Peterson gathered intelligence on Exarathi movements and vulnerabilities. Information flowed between resistance cells that had once fought alone. "The aliens are creatures of habit," Peterson observed, studying patrol patterns. "They follow the same routes, the same schedules. They don't expect us to be watching so carefully." This knowledge allowed resistance strikes to become more effective. Supply depots hit when guards changed shifts. Communication towers destroyed during maintenance cycles. Small victories, but they were adding up. The Exarathi began to notice. Their entertainment broadcasts still mocked human efforts, but some commanders expressed concern. The mammals show unexpected coordination, one Exarathi officer reported to its superior. Attacks follow patterns suggesting central command structure. The four-eyed commander dismissed these concerns. "They are vermin. Clever vermin perhaps, but still vermin." Increase patrols in major population centers. This order played directly into human plans. More Exarathi soldiers meant more targets for the new weapons being produced in Atlantis. In the underwater forge, production accelerated. Workers collapsed from exhaustion only to be replaced by others. No one complained. Everyone had lost someone to the invaders. "First shipment ready for Chicago," Olivia announced one day, sealing a crate of 20 handheld neural disruptors. "Second batch goes to Mumbai tomorrow." Greg checked the manifest. "That's all major resistance cells covered within 2 weeks. Then we start on the heavy emitters for Admiral Russell's fleet." Word spread through resistance networks. Weapons that could hurt the invaders were coming. Hope, nearly extinguished by months of brutality, flickered back to life. On her flagship Defiance, now hidden in Saturn's rings, Admiral Russell received Peterson's encrypted message: "Forge operational. Distribution underway. Fleet weapons begin production next month." Russell allowed herself a small smile. "Inform all ships," she told her communications officer. "Operation Payback begins in 90 days." The crew of the Defiance straightened their backs. For the first time since the invasion, they could see a path forward. Not just to survival, but to victory. The Exarathi had come to Earth expecting easy conquest. They had laughed at human suffering. But in ocean depths and crater shadows, in ruined cities, and hidden asteroid bases, humanity prepared to show the aliens their mistake. The real fight was just beginning. 18 months after the invasion, humanity launched its counterattack. The date was set, July 4th, once America's Independence Day, now a symbol for all of Earth. "Begin Operation Payback." Admiral Russell's message went out to all resistance cells, transmitted through Peterson's Shadow Base network. In Chicago, Kimberly Walsh readied her team. Remember your targets. Hit the command centers first. Across the globe, in Mumbai, Tokyo, London, and 100 other cities, resistance leaders received the same orders. Years of suffering would end today, or humanity would make its final stand. Nathan Rodriguez, once a simple bike messenger, now led a strike team in Denver. "Activate disruptors on my mark," he told his squad as they approached a Xerathi patrol. 3, 2, 1. The handheld devices powered up, sending invisible radiation toward the alien soldiers. The effect was immediate. The four-eyed creatures dropped to the ground, their bodies convulsing as their neural systems overloaded. Similar scenes played out worldwide. The Xerathi, so confident in their superiority, found themselves suddenly vulnerable. Their personal shields failed against weapons specifically designed to bypass them. As ground forces struck alien positions, Admiral Russell's fleet emerged from hiding. The human ships now looked very different. Covered in retrofitted alien technology and armed with large-scale neural disruptors, they approached Earth's orbit, where the Xerathi flagship maintained its position. On the bridge of the Defiance, Russell studied the tactical display. 12 ships against their fleet of 40. Not great odds. "Better than we had yesterday," Olivia Dias replied. After returning to space, she had become Russell's chief weapons officer. The neural disruptors are at full power. The Xerathi detected the approaching human fleet. Their response came swiftly, broadcast across all frequencies. "Your resistance is futile but amusing," the alien commander's voice rang through the Defiance's speakers. "We will add this final battle to our entertainment archives." Russell activated the ship's communication system. "This isn't your final battle. It's ours." She gave the order, and all 12 human ships fired their neural disruptors simultaneously. The massive radiation burst hit the Xerathi flagship, washing over its shields and penetrating the hull. Inside the alien vessel, chaos erupted. The Xerathi crew collapsed, their neural systems overwhelmed by the targeted radiation. Secondary ships moved to attack, but they had never faced this weapon before. "They're adjusting their shields," Tactical Officer Paul Everett warned. "The disruptors won't be as effective on the second volley." "Then we adjust too," Olivia said, her fingers flying over the weapon controls. She modified the frequency pattern mid-battle, staying ahead of the alien defenses. The space around Earth filled with fire as ships from both sides took damage. 3 human vessels were destroyed, but the Xerathi losses mounted even faster. Their ships began to drift, crews incapacitated by the neural radiation. On Earth's surface, Walsh led an assault on Chicago's Xerathi Command Center. Her forces carried portable neural disruptors, allowing them to walk past defenses that had once seemed impenetrable. "We're inside," she reported to Peterson at Shadow Base. Moving to the communication hub, the battle turned in humanity's favor, but victory came at a cost. Thousands of resistance fighters fell. Ships burned in orbit, yet the tide had shifted. The Xerathi commander, watching its forces fall to primitive mammals after months of easy victory, made a desperate decision. It ordered all remaining Xerathi ships to converge on Earth. "Sterilize the planet," came the command. "No human survivors, no entertainment value remains." Their remaining vessels formed up, abandoning outposts on Mars and the Moon. The message was clear. If they couldn't have Earth as a conquest, they would destroy it completely. Peterson intercepted the transmission from Shadow Base. He sent an urgent message to Admiral Russell. "They're going to destroy Earth. All remaining Xerathi forces inbound." In Chicago's captured command center, Walsh discovered something that changed everything. The coordinates of the Xerathi homeworld, stored in the alien database. As Earth prepared for what might be its final stand, Russell made the most important decision of the war. Admiral Diane Russell stood on the bridge of the Defiance, watching as Xerathi ships gathered around Earth. Their intent was clear: complete destruction of humanity's home planet. "We can't win this battle," she said quietly. "Not here. Not now." Her officers looked at her with concern. They had never heard defeat in her voice before. "Admiral," came Peterson's voice over the communication system. "Walsh found something in Chicago. The location of the Exarathi homeworld." Russell's eyes narrowed. In that moment, she made the decision that would change the course of the war. "All ships, prepare to jump," she ordered. "We're not staying to defend Earth." "Admiral," Paul Everett questioned, shock in his voice. "Earth is already defended," Russell explained, pointing to the tactical display showing resistance forces worldwide. "Our people have the neural disruptors. The planet has become a trap for the Exarathi." She stepped closer to the main screen. "But we now have a better target. We're taking this fight to their home." Using the navigation data Walsh had discovered, the human fleet plotted a course to the heart of the Exarathi Empire. As the aliens prepared their final assault on Earth, Russell's ships slipped away. The journey would take 3 months, time Russell used to grow her force. The fleet captured and repurposed damaged Exarathi vessels found in the outer solar system. By the time they approached Exarathi space, 17 ships flew under human command. On Earth, the situation grew desperate but not hopeless. The Exarathi found themselves fighting an enemy that could now hurt them. Every city became a battlefield where their technological advantages meant less each day. "They expected us to surrender," Kim Walsh told her fighters as they defended Chicago. "They expected us to be easy entertainment, show them how wrong they were." 3 months later, Russell's fleet arrived at the Exarathi homeworld. They found it largely undefended. The arrogant species had never considered they would need protection against lesser beings. "They sent everything they had to conquer other worlds," Olivia Diaz observed. "They never imagined the conquered would come here." Russell stood on her bridge, looking at the alien planet on the main screen. Its blue-green surface reminded her painfully of Earth. For a moment, she considered the full destruction her fleet could unleash. Instead, she made a different choice. "Open a channel," she ordered. "Broadcast on all Exarathi frequencies." When the connection was established, Russell spoke clearly, her voice reaching across the alien world. "I am Admiral Diane Russell of Earth. You came to our world. You laughed as we died. Now we bring the same to you." She nodded to Olivia, who activated the fleet's weapons. Instead of destroying the planet, they selectively targeted military installations and government centers. The strikes were precise, devastating, and broadcast live. "Send the footage to all occupied worlds," Russell ordered. "Show them what happens when humanity fights back." The Exarathi Supreme Commander frantically contacted the human fleet. Its 4 eyes blinked rapidly in what humans had learned was a sign of extreme distress. "This attack is unexpected," it said. "How did mammals achieve such reversal?" Russell leaned toward the screen. "You thought our greatest trait was our technology or our strength. You were wrong. It's our memory. And we remember everything you did." The war ended not with Earth's destruction, but with the Exarathi Dominion's surrender. The peace terms were simple. All human captives returned, immediate withdrawal from Earth, and a buffer zone around the solar system that no Exarathi ship could enter. As humanity began rebuilding their damaged world, Admiral Russell established the Solar System Defense Force with a clear mission. Earth would never again be caught unprepared. And across the galaxy, word spread of the species that refused to accept extinction, the humans who turned the laughter of conquerors into the silence of defeat. In years to come, alien civilizations would approach Earth with caution and respect. Humanity had proven itself not just as survivors, but as a force that would always remember and always return.